Hey everyone, it's Dim and Kedge back again with Namaste Rich. I have forgotten what episode number it is, but we have absolutely loved filming this and having this conversation. And Kedge and I did something a little bit sneaky today, which is, we were so keen to chat with each other that we were just chatting for like 12 minutes just then before we were like, man, we should really hit record on this. But so everyone, welcome back. Thanks for following on with the journey. Kedge, hello.
Nah, hate him. And yeah, no, definitely got carried away. And I think literally like because we just turned this on and just start chatting. And today we're like, oh, what do we want to talk about? And then we just started talking and just forgot to turn the camera on. But I might like actually even in that short 10, 12 minutes, like there was some some solid stuff. And I think that will form the conversation today.
Please,
And but I was
anything,
just
anything that you wanted to say, please.
yeah. No, I just honestly, I just want to say the first thing I said to you, and I was just like, just it wasn't the week last week, but the week before, because we skipped a week because I think you were unwell last week.
Yeah.
But I just saw some, videos and photos of like, yeah, you with your parents, in Bali, and yeah, and there was this one particular one I shared with my wife Gaia, and like you are wearing a sarong, and you're coming down the waterfall, and then you guys were doing some sort of prayer, and it was just I could feel it just felt so nice to watch, It was just like it was real beautiful and obviously I know a bit of your story and you've shared in the past some challenges with your parents and embracing the lifestyle that you've gone down and what you're doing and all that stuff. And for me, just watching that, it just kind of felt like pure bliss and their acceptance of who you are and vice versa. And captured in that moment. And honestly, like, yeah, I saw a bunch of them throughout the week, but that particular one, like, I just felt compelled to share it with Gaia as well and make her watch it, and she loved it as well. So, yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, man,
That's
that's
so nice. Yeah, for everyone. We'll probably post it in the link or whatever, just so you have context about what
yeah,
Kate is talking about. This is the video, it's on my Instagram page. But just to give everyone some context on that as well, it's as Kate said, I would say a lot of people listening to this have probably had quite a fair bit of challenges, maybe with their parents, especially if you've come from like a Asian background like we have. And with me, I definitely took an unconventional path, in their eyes, and I um never was satisfied with a corporate job, and I and wanted to buy property and all this stuff, and it was very much out of their comfort zone, and they had been burnt by many things before, and so for me, like for example, for real, like I wasn't intending to talk about this, but here we go. um because my dad had been so burnt by property when he had done it. I don't think Kedge even knows this story. Man, the level of resistance that I had to go through to buy to get my first property because I was still living at home was insane. It was just like anything, any idea I had, it was like shut down. And just with, in my view, real irrational bullshit that if you're thinking about every damn last possible risk to the nth degree, you will never do anything, is my projection. Even to this day, even though this is 12 years ago. And I really remember in those moments, even then, recognizing that, man, this is just like a projection of trauma on
mm,
me. This is not an objective response. This is someone that genuinely is just not interested in the idea, and so nothing that I say is going to help. And for context for everyone, because this story ends very happily, by the way, but for context for everyone, it's like, you know, um, like when because I changed degrees twice, in uni because I hated it, and then when I was in corporate, I hated it, and I was kind of like this troubled child that was following. Nothing was ever satisfying for me, and it was like, yeah, and people were just was like, man, why can't you just get a job? And when I say people, I mean like my parents. They're like, why can't you just get a job and be happy like these other kids and get married and whatever? And with me, it was like I did my best to whatever, like I hated it. And when I was leaving to Africa, because I quit my job when I was 25, and I didn't want to do corporate anymore, and I just wanted to go to Africa and build homes because I was so depressed and so ruined that the only thing that gave me a sense of energy was doing something that was actually in my mind fulfilling and meaningful. And when I was 21, I had gone to Costa Rica. I was suicidally depressed between 14 and 21. When I was 21, what helped me pull myself out of it was seeing, I really asked the question, what is it worth staying alive for? And I saw the Donate Blood Red Cross van, and it says if you donate blood, you save 3 lives. And I was like, you know what, man? Like maybe I'm never going to become a fighter pilot or an aeronautical engineer. I'm not going to get this girl that I want or whatever, but maybe it's worth staying alive just to help others. And as you can imagine, it was quite fulfilling to donate blood. And I felt like I was accepted as enough by someone, by the nurses that were there who were thanking me. And I was like, wow, like I can contribute some way. I don't have to kill myself. And from there, it was like I my my friend saw that I was doing this, like donating blood, and I also just took it upon myself to go, you know what, like okay, well, if I'm going to stay alive, I might as well be fit and healthy so I can donate blood for the rest of my life. So I, was going to the gym a lot, which obviously it makes you feel a lot better as well. And then my friend said, "Hey, Dim, if you like this contribution thing, and I know you like the gym and stuff, did you know you can go to like third world countries and like help build orphanages and stuff like that?" And Man, 2 weeks from that conversation, um, I had booked a ticket to Costa Rica, and I went there and helped build an orphanage. And as you can imagine, it's very meaningful. And I'm saying this story to say that when I first started corporate, and I thought it sucked, I at the end of my second year in corporate, I followed the same formula, and I came to Bali for the first time, and to Ubud, which is where I live now, and we built a kindergarten. And then, went through 2 more years of corporate and achieved a lot for my age on paper, but it still wasn't doing it for me. So that's what led me to going, I'm going to quit everything and just go do what gave me a sense of purpose and answers. And my parents were going crazy with their level of resistance. They were like, "No, you're a quitter. Like, what's wrong with you? Anytime anything gets hard, you quit." And they were just projecting their fears onto me. But I came to realize actually that that is because I was projecting my own insecurities and uncertainty onto them. And so I was coming to them
Mm.
uncertain. And so then they would override me with their version of certainty. But ironically, when I finally found like I spoke to my best friend at the time. His name's Sunny, and Sunny was like, "Dim, listen, why are you worrying about everything that everyone else is saying? You either do it or you don't do it. Like we're not the type of people that talk about things and don't do it. So you either do it or you don't do it, but just shut up about it, you know?" And from that conversation, I found the certainty within myself to go, I'm going to stop looking for validation from my parents,
Mm.
and I'm going to, yeah. And ironically, then my parents piped down after that,
Mm.
and I went to Africa and I discovered personal development books, which basically birthed my, whole career. And furthermore, I came back from Africa and I landed a job that paid me 200 grand a year when I was getting paid 60 grand a year before, and I was still 25. And so I was like, okay, this personal development stuff works. So then I went on the pursuit of buying property, and man, the level of resistance I went through, and I can talk about other issues, real issues that I've had at home, in my past, and I'm sure a lot of people listening maybe have their own version of that. I think one of probably the greatest achievement of my whole life was healing my relationship with my parents. I probably the greatest achievement of my whole life was being able to do the inner work to resolve that. So, we don't become estranged or hate each other or whatever, because I've there's been violence and all types of things that has happened in that home. And anyway, I remember, like, I mean, in conjunction and in parallel with me committing to resolve this relationship, which, the inner work helps you do. I remember, I hope it's okay that I'm bringing this up, Kedge. Like,
I don't know what you're going to talk about, but yeah, it's fine. So,
okay, well, I remember being at Kedge's dad's funeral, And seeing Kedge the way that he was, and Kedge was like, I just remember this one thing that he said. He was just like, man, man, like they just want to call you, they just want to they just want to talk about things. Sometimes they're calling you, and I know it's annoying because it's something that you don't believe is meaningful, but man, they just want to call, they just want to talk, and just make time for them. And he was saying these things, and I remember just like, I mean, it's emotionally moving to me to say this stuff. But basically, like, I. I have other friends as well who've also lost one or two of their parents. And so when my parents were coming to Bali to come visit me and the life that I've built here, Eckhart Tolle says if you really want to know how spiritual you are, spend a weekend with your parents, and I'm really happy because they came for 1 week. And if I can be super real, and I shit you not, this is exactly what I thought. I felt it was going to be disrespectful to Kedge and to my friend Nav, who also lost his father, if I was a cunt to my parents. And I was like, man, how yeah, like yeah, just shut, like I'm telling myself this. I was like, man, just shut up and just enjoy and just be happy. Yeah, they're doing things in their own pace, in their own time, and whatever, bro. You're lucky that they're here. You're lucky, man. So can you just shut your mouth and enjoy? And you know what, man? That video that I showed for me, that was like, yeah, that was what those 5 days were like. It was wonderful, just being with them and being happy, and they don't need to be at my pace, and it's not like my pace is anyone better than someone else's pace or whatever. Like I just was just grateful to be with them. And so yeah, just to relate it to that point, Kedge, I know that was a long
Nah, man, and like honestly, just makes me like like super like yeah, happy to hear all that, man. Like, oh, have we frozen?
I can still hear you all right. I think we're good to keep rolling.
Yeah, man, I was just saying, just super happy to hear that, man. And I think for me, obviously, hits personally, but obviously, it's been a couple of years now, and the fact that that's still stuck with you, because only once again, I just say, and I say this in a very non-judgmental way, but even around that time, and I would have shared little anecdotes during that time as well with other people, and then everyone kind of takes it in and they say, but I've just gone and seen, certain people they've just gone back and everybody, whatever, you go back to your life, you get busy, and life goes in, and and yeah, and I feel like it's still the same, for lots of different people. So, power to you for and obviously knowing who you are, that's always going to be the case. But like, yeah, yeah, for like, yeah, remembering those kinds of things and actually like applying it and clearly doing wonders. Um,
Bless, bro.
because then is yeah, and one thing I'm going to add is what's crazy, and I think where I can relate to the parent, even as a rational or whatever it may be, because I'm sure I've got it like just have a kid now almost 4 weeks, and at some point in time you were this little fragile little like person, and for them when they look at you like you're probably still that person. I don't know what it's going to feel like for me, but right now I'm looking at this baby, and even when they're 17 or to 18 and 25 and but I'm still going to see this little person, and that's I'm going to remember that, and I can see how that how you could put that, not justifying it by any means, but I can see why and how it could happen, and how I can relate to it a little bit more now as well. But yeah, man, yeah, just it's just yeah. The main thing is, bro, just happy for you and just glad and just like, and I can once again, it was just so captured so beautifully, and just from both parties, just I can see, yeah, how nice it was. So
Bless you, bro. Thank you, bro.
yeah,
Um, how are you, man? How's your week?
yeah, good. Um, yeah, man, always conscious of how to share. I've had a really good week is the simple answer. Like, don't obviously a lot of, well, I don't say good week. We've all got our shit. Those, tough moments. I'm changing diapers at 3 a.m. now, and, lack of sleep and, all the other things that come with having a newborn, and, and those things. But at the same time, growing a business at the same time. So just like, luckily with the type of business that we have, I'm working pretty much from home most of the time. So, I
That's
can still
pretty
allocate
amazing.
yeah, so I can allocate the time to sub in, sub out, and do those kinds of things. But like, yeah, from a personal front, loving that like and side, but from a business front as well, like just we have had a really great week and really great, month and few months, and just really exploding at the moment. And it's in an environment and time where the overall flow for the whole industry is slowing down a little bit. And in that same time we're growing, and all of the business comes from referral and word of mouth. So testament to some of the work that we've done, and we're growing in that environment. So just very proud of that.
Wow.
And dealing with some growing pains that come with that as you scale, and with the team and some other things that we kind of go through, which I'm happy to share. But man, overall, just yeah, just loving the journey of it, And I don't know if we talked about this in an earlier podcast, another episode, but just it might have been us, but I definitely talked about it with some other people, and just someone was asking me just like how's life and blah blah blah, and I was just like, and but and once again, when I say stuff like this, I'm always wary of the devil around the shoulder coming to get me. But life's just like it's just 10 out of 10. Like it's just like for me, everything else from now, we're just doing it because we can. Like choose your hard, choose your thing. Like, bro, family's good, happy, friends are great, like loving what I do for work, spiritually growing, all the stuff, and just living in alignment and true to that. And it's like what more do you want? Like what more do you really want? And the rest of it we're just doing because we can. It's just cream and just enjoying it now. So, and I think like that's it's a big statement to make, and all goes in waves, but just what I don't want to hold back from saying shit like that, because it's just like trying to be humble. Like that's just how things are, man.
Bro, can I ask you something on that? Because I feel like I can learn something here.
Yeah.
So, for everyone listening, because I think other people can learn from here as well. I'm doing it for myself, but hopefully other people get it. Like, it's like I have come from what feels like years of war. As you know more than most people, Kedge, in terms of everyone listening, like I gone through insane levels of challenges, especially in the last 6 years, in terms of like growing a very difficult business initially, going through crazy levels of poverty, going through, COVID and like crazy financial strain, then me and my fiance breaking up, then losing like about seven really good people out of my life, culminating with my best friend killing himself. So it was just like a super, super hard like set of like 6 or 7 years for me. And I almost like to I'm just being super real, my bro. Like to adapt through that time, I had to become a different version of myself, which is, what we speak about in coaching, and Kedge, you're very versed with this. But
Hmm.
for me, it was like the universe or life or whatever was really putting me through like deep hell and back. Like I remember in 2023, because um without saying any specific names or the people, some very, very like as close as possible loved one to me was in hospital because they had tried to kill themselves. This is another person, and they had tried to kill themselves, and they were um basically messaging me, but I knew that I was not the correct person to be saving them, because it would fuck things up in the longer term if Dim became the savior, and they needed to lean on their own support network basically. But for anyone listening, you can imagine how insane this is when you have someone who is your loved one, and they've already tried to kill themselves, and then they're basically messaging you saying they're probably going to do it again, and then you have to say, listen, I please don't message me, I need you to lean on your other support network, because in the long run, if I lent in to save the day, it would fuck this person up even more. And everyone, just so you know, the person I'm referring to is doing really, really, really well now. And they're really thriving, and they've thanked me multiple times for not jumping in and being the hero, but giving them the space to find the empowerment within themselves. And they realized their life would have been a lot worse if not. So I say all that to say it's been a hard time. So for me to get through that, it was like I it felt like I was going through hell, or I was being put through hell. And so for me to get through, it was kind of like not the angel dim that was the right fit to get me through.
Mm,
It's like there was nothing wrong with the angel dim or like
mm,
the lighter aspects. Nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't it just wasn't the vehicle that was required at that time. And so the vehicle that came to me through that time, like for people listening, you may hear about how Kobe Bryant was going through like insane levels of challenge. And then he invented this alter ego called the Black Mamba, which
mm,
kind of he took on to help him through. Nicki Minaj talks about this as well, and you hear about her different
mm,
monikers that she has. So, in the same way, it was like I developed this thing, and it's actually really helped me to this day. I say all that to say this, Kedge, like it's like I'm so used to war
mm.
that it's almost like to me now I don't feel comfortable even though I'm literally in the Garden of Eden here
Yeah,
like in
yeah,
Bali. It's
yeah,
like I'm actually pretty set if you think about it in the different metrics of life. I'm quite
yeah,
set, you know.
100%. Yeah.
You know where I'm going with the question. What do you think, man?
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this multiple times before, and I like, poof, this is what I think, and I feel like, and all of this I've pretty much all of this I've learned from you. I've just chose to apply it in a different way. I think, that's the thing, which is crazy.
Well, it's
Because
hard. It's a bit harder for me to apply it to myself because even though
that,
that's my first job, like it's hard
yeah,
for
yeah,
you to see it. Like that's what we need
for
external
sure.
people.
But at the same time, like there's different applications, right? Everyone's on the unique journey, and there's different ways that these things can be applied, right? There's no one true. But what I have, one thing, I don't know Kobe Bryant, I don't know Nicki Minaj, but when I've seen people that I somewhat know or know enough, and they go too heavy into those alter egos, I tend to find out when I get close, they're pretty fucked up.
Right.
As in, as in, what I mean. There's like they've gone too far in one direction, and they sometimes find it hard to come back. And so they might have gone into that ego, and he may have become one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But I don't know. I can't speak for Kobe. I don't know what his life at home was like. Don't know. I don't know, right? But I feel like I've seen that in people, right? And I feel like I've seen that in myself in the past as well, right? So where I try and apply what I've learned from you is like it's just for me it's more micro. It's not like I feel like I don't go through like phases of 6 months or 3 months where I'm like that version anymore or
Yes.
like that. It's more I feel like I try to tap into those versions in the moments, more as in and if yeah, question ask me great, but more in micro moments and then try and come back. And because I feel like in the day to day, in the week, in the month, bro, as much as it feels like we're going through a war, but when we actually kind of distill it down, it's not war the whole time. There's in those times, there's good stuff going on. We just can't see it, and we're not letting ourselves see it, and all that. Yeah. So, and I think that's how I feel about it, man.
That's a
So,
lovely, lovely answer, man. That was a lovely answer. I don't know if this is going over people's heads, but like you can basically you can be a certain version of yourself for 6 months full time, and that comes with its, I guess, benefits and drawbacks. Or you can do what Kedge is saying, and I think what Kedge is saying, to be fair, is it's kind of what I do, but it's almost like I'm able to switch gears between those different parts. I believe it's important to, but I do notice with me overall, I'm
yeah,
one way.
yeah,
Um, Having said that, I think a question that would help people to hear and hear an answer to is it's almost like what if you have found safety in pain and challenge and the war
yeah,
because that's what you've known and that's how you knew how to survive and adapt to.
yeah,
And now it's like the universe has given you the Garden of Eden, Kedge.
yeah.
But what I admire is that you have found footing in that Garden of Eden without, because for me it's almost like I'm scared to
Mm.
to live there anymore. Almost.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
And for me, when I hear all this stuff, for me, it comes full circle from some of the stuff I talked about parenting at the start and your dad being a certain way, because it's like, because that's whatever he was, that's what somehow worked for him and got to where he is, being a certain way. And what I'm hearing here is like being a certain way, that's your safety now, as in you or versions of that. So it's like almost, not unlocking that other door, or whatever you want to call it, right? So, but that's just that's just my take on it, man. Because I just like, uh, yeah, I don't know, bro. Ask me questions, but
That was an incredible answer, man.
yeah, yeah, because for me, I'm thinking honest, and once again, because I've asked you this question in the past as well, because sometimes, even with all this personal growth and development, I'm probably done it, and as I'm saying this, I've probably done it more than most, but there is times that I just switch off from it as well, and because, bro, it's just, and I just, and it's all because it's as with anything, it's lived experience. You
Mm,
don't learn from a textbook. I could come and sit with you all year, and you can teach me all these tools and techniques and stuff. But if I don't go back into the real world, and as these things are happening to me and applying it and going through it, bro, what's the point? And I think what I see from people is, they come do your work or other people's work or watch a video and, last for X period of time. And then it's just
yes.
really, ideally, no one ever needs to come back to you, ideally. But, it's a forever journey and you might need to come a few times and, it's a blah, blah, blah. But I think for me, it's just like, it's just lived experience. And I like to live life simply as well. So I've just taken, and I'm probably not applying all the various tools that I've learned from you, but there's some major ones that I felt like, and I've really taken away, embodied, and it's just like I just keep reminding myself of those, and just feel like life's just flying, man.
That's I understand. That was lovely, man. Because to me, what that tells me is that your macro frame is different, which is like your macro frame is being okay with the simple life or the good life or whatever.
Yeah,
But then you have at your disposal these different modes that you can click into when required in micro ways
yeah.
when required. The other piece of what you were saying there, which I thought was fucking badass, was like you were like, Dim, I think you have found safety in being that way. But for me, what I also take from that is, dude, you're afraid of being the other way.
Mm.
And I like that. I like that you said that because for me, I've never really spoken about this, but for me, everyone at home, realize that fear and excitement, it's the same vibration, it's the same emotion. There's just a different meaning. With excitement, it's the same feeling, but there's a positive connotation about what something could be. Whereas fear is the same feeling, but it's a negative connotation about what something could
Mhm.
be. And so for me, my bro, now whenever I feel fear, it kind of turns into excitement quite quickly because I've come to learn that fear is actually what the doorway feels like to
Mm.
your next level.
Mm.
And so when you said that thing that you said, I felt fear. And
Mm.
that's why I started to smile because I was like, oh fuck, like I'm afraid of just letting go a little bit and just being okay. And I was like, oh, I'm afraid. Okay, that means it's the door. Okay, that's gonna be interesting, man. I appreciate this
Yeah,
conversation
bro.
very much.
Explore it, and then I was gonna one last note on it. Because when I first met you, and obviously it's not these aren't extremes, right? But when I first met you, I felt like you were more in that angel version of yourself,
Yes,
and obviously I've known the whole version of you now, so it doesn't matter. But that's the version I personally, initially anyway, fell in love with, and now it's like the whole thing. So just anyway, explore it, and just you come back to me and tell me what you think.
big love, man. That's really wonderful, man. Thank you, man. What a journey. I just want to quickly acknowledge as well, bro. Like, everyone listening, like one thing that Kedge was saying before the podcast started was how, his business is really growing, which is amazing. But what's super amazing is that he was reaching out to old contacts of his. And a lot of those guys, or I think borderline every single one of them, was like, hey, because Kedge has known these people for a long time because we know we've had so many different adventures through our career, different stints here and there. So these people have known Kedge for a long time. And what he was sharing was that these people are like in positions of power and influence now. And they were just like, hey man, yeah, that's okay. I'm going to open up all these leads for you or all these resources for you or all this X, Y, or Z to you. Dude, don't worry about the money. I want you to have it because thank you for being who, who you have been in my life. And I just can't think of anyone more deserving than that. And in fact, I also take something from that, my bro, because I've from everything I've known, from as long as I've known you, you really have always kind of had that mentality of, oh, it's all good, bro. It'll come back around. I've seen you pay for dinner or something, something
Mm,
so many times. And you're like, I don't get it's all right, man. It'll come back around. It'll come back around. And I can just see, I'm just so happy for you, man, because I can see how loving and authentically giving you have been with people. And just trusting that, yeah, it'll come back around. And it's so beautiful that in this time where you're building your thing,
mm,
your new thing,
mm.
that these people that you invested so beautifully into and so selflessly because you thought it was the right thing to do to help these people, they've grown now into these people of positions of power. And now, with just nothing but gratitude, they're grateful to help you. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I'm honestly blown away, like, like blown away. And yeah, no, I'm super grateful for it. But also, yeah, and yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, it's just, yeah, just actually a very, very, like, some of these people I haven't spoken to in years, but it's like I speak to them and it's like just stuck with them. And I was like, yeah, and for me, and this goes back to the whole thing. For me, it goes back to the whole thing you're talking about before about the whole dark energy or warrior or whatever you call it. I can't remember what the language you used before, and a very different context. But I just see so many people that feel like to get through in business, you have to be a fucking, you got to be ruthless, you got to be thing. And yeah, there's times for that, but I think once again, there's so many different ways that you can do it. And it's for me, it's like, choose. For me, I've just chosen this is how I want to do it, and I don't want to deviate from that because I know if I do that, it's just not going to be my version of
Authentic
what
to
I want.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
authentic to me, and it's not going to be the way that I want to do it. Like it's just like, and in the end, I'm not going to have fun doing it. It's just not going to sit right with me. And sometimes we model off these people. Oh, this person built a business like this, and yeah, look, they were ruthless, and you know what, they had to do it. That's like, yeah, sure, maybe for them maybe that's right for them. And so just going to be very careful of like. Yeah, it's hard, right? Because you want to model off role models, but you also want to be true to yourself. And there's a balance in there somewhere. And don't trust me, life hasn't been easy, and I've been tested for being that way. And sometimes am I too giving? I given money and led people money that I probably shouldn't have, and all sorts of things of being overly generous. I'm like, but overall, if I look at the net result of being that way, like it's worked out, because there would have been a net result of being the other way, and there would have been some pros and cons there. But this is just my way. And yeah, man, and I think just staying true to that. I think if yeah, it's all eventually come around. So yeah, because I've heard it over the years, and I've been told certain things over the years. Oh, you got to change this, and even when I go and do speeches and stuff, oh, you got to be a bit more scripted because you just go off the cuff and you go on tangents and stuff, and a bit unrelated to this particular topic. But I've just been told all these various things of trying to put me in a box of how to be, and I think a part of me is just like because I've just got that resistance to things and just done it I just wanted to do it my way. And I think yeah, I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to add to what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm making coherence in what I'm
No, you
saying.
are. You are.
Yeah, yeah.
Can,
So,
can,
but
can I share my version of that, my bro?
yeah, yeah.
Were you going to say something else?
No, no, that's kind of it. I was hoping to be a bit more coherent in what I was saying. So if you can help me with that, that would be great. So,
Oh, okay. Well, in terms of what you're saying, I think it's lovely. To
yeah.
me, I think what you're saying, my bro, is like, it's just about like, yep, there's a million people telling you a million different ways that you should do certain
Mm.
things. But for you, you have found and decided that, you know what, I'm going to be my authentic self. I'm going to do it the way that actually inspires me and makes me happy. And it gives me energy and gives me a sense, like, makes me feel authentic when I do it. Um, and that's the path that I've decided to take. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, man, 100%. And I think a lot of it, and there's probably a part of it there where there is still a lesson for me to learn, and there probably is that ruthlessness part. And it's like, for example, and maybe not, maybe there is, but I've always given people one more chance than they should have. People are, oh, you should let this person go now, or you should, you've given them enough help, you've done this, but I'm like, you know what? I still believe in them. I reckon I can get them. And I've been wrong. I have been wrong, multiple times. But once again, overall, I think net result has been good by being that way. And so. yeah, man, that's just obviously just an example of it. Yeah, so
Yeah. My version of that or perspective of that, my
yeah,
bro, if anyone listening is like, I think that I think you should definitely be your authentic self. The reason being is because your authentic self, I think, and by the way, it's not like I'm above this, like I'm learning from what Kedge is saying, FYI. But it's a gorgeous nudge, back to the middle. But for me, it's like you should definitely be your authentic self because you're more lit up there, you're more magnetic there, you're more inspiring there, it's more sustainable, you're happier. Like the ingredients list of what you receive by being your authentic self is just so much better in because it's going to make you more consistent and everything. And you are the magic and you are one of one.
mm,
So you better be the first, you better be you instead of being second best at being someone else. Be the best at being you instead of being second best at being someone else. And for me, the integration is like find a way to be your authentic self with people that and make the synergy of you and then the people mean create service. That's what I think, or love create service, or like
yeah,
love and service is the same to me. So it's um like that's what I would say. It's like you want to find the right people for you, but then also you want to, like, there'll be a effort required out of the 8 billion people to find your niche
mm,
or your people. And then with your people, you want to calibrate your message to really meeting their needs, and find a way to integrate, like find a way to create synergy between your authentic self and their needs.
mm.
And when you do that together, you create magic and you create service. That's my read on it.
And can I ask in a work question on this?
Mm,
Like, yeah, so because many times in my life I've been told I'm delusional, right? So because I want to do things a certain way and how realistic that thing is, blah blah blah. And I feel like I've also looked at other people and I feel like there's a fine line between what I'm saying and delusion as well.
okay. Yeah.
There could be, I should say, right? Because how do you like I'm saying, okay, I'm authentically me, blah blah blah. But how do I also know that I am actually being that, or is that my conditioning and I think that's my authentic self?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a great
and
question.
so because of that, I'm gonna go out and do this, but you know what? I'm actually I'm being delusional, you know?
Yeah. Yes. So I think your question is how
How to
do I know
discern the difference.
between my authentic self
Authentic
and
self and like me thinking I'm in my authentic self and but I'm actually in my conditioning. So like it's I'm
here,
not actually.
here's what it is. Here's what it is, for everyone listening at home as well. Like, so so the closest thing to your authentic self is your values. Your values, it the way I'm defining it is from John DeMartini, which is it's what is genuinely, you don't even need to monetize it or find meaning in it. You doing it gives you, it's what life is all about.
Hmm,
Like for some people, they will lose track of time being in the garden, and
hmm,
with the sunshine on their face, and looking at the flowers and learning about the flowers, and just being there. They get a sense of energy from it. When they're outside of the garden, they think about the garden. Like everyone, as unique as their thumbprint, has a set of values or loves that inspire them or give them a sense of energy, or they get naturally intrinsically motivated by doing, right? And I would go on, Kedge. Yep.
So that, as and for the audience sake, I'm happy for you to expand on that. But can I just ask you a question on that?
Yeah,
Because
great.
that I purely understand. Like I think I've learned that from you, and
Mm.
like how to live in your values, and it feels a little bit like for me like macro, and I get that.
Yeah.
But what I don't fully understand, so we messaged earlier in the week about sales techniques as an example, and then there's things like leadership styles. And for once again, there's no one perfect way, right? So for me to be an authentic leader that's true to myself is very different to somehow how it may have been taught in a textbook, and you need to do this, or my sales style might be like, once again, you can watch all these videos about what the right selling technique as well. But once again, is that authentically me and how I speak and how I do things and how I communicate? So the values part, fully understand, like get it. How do you then apply that in those situations? Am I selling in a way that's authentically me? Am I leading in a way that's authentically me? And how would you apply it in those in that sense?
Here's what I think, man, and this is what I've learned from experience on this, though I'm on my journey too.
Mm,
It's like okay, step number one, figure out your values and figure out your goals and your career and what you want to do. Step number one. Step number two, recognize that whatever it is that you choose to do has benefits and drawbacks. So, for example, if you want to sell people into a $10,000 course or product, but you do not want to fucking do sales calls and you don't want to interact with people or whatever, then okay, but that approach has benefits and drawbacks. So I would say authentically discern for your own self what is it the way that you want to do. And what you're going to find is part of that answer is from conditioning and trauma or laziness or something else. And part of that answer is actually because it's trying to guide you towards your authentic style, right? And is it possible to discern what that is in the beginning? No. You start to do it, you start to apply it in the field, and you start to realize, okay, so this actual part about talking with people, I actually quite like that part. I just don't like, see, for me, for example, I still do sales calls, even though there's plenty of talk about not doing them, but I like it. I like it. I like being with people and I like helping them and I like um yeah, so you can hear even just by me wanting to talk about it,
mm,
like genuinely I like it. So I would just say like love is the answer. So it's like you should, because you don't know yet, I'm not talking to Kedge, I'm just saying in general, because you don't know yet, try.
mm,
Try doing DMs, try doing outreach, try doing door knocking, whatever. Try. And then when you try, usually in the beginning, as with anything, it's usually quite difficult, especially if it's a high value skill. Then ask yourself the question, okay, how can I do this in a way that I authentically enjoy? So,
mm,
for example, ironically, just earlier today in the Entrepreneurs Only group, in one of my coaching groups, someone was asking about their content, and what's their best way to make the content, you know? And I was just helping him understand, well, when you make content, what is the way that you like to make content that you enjoy? And that's what we got to double down on. And then once we double down on enough of your strength and what makes you happy, it usually makes you okay to realize, okay, well, there's a part of this that I do need to calibrate. So, for example, do I get inspired by adding a heading over the reel to have a visual hook or to add captions? No, not really. Do I get inspired to like use CapCut to cut it up? No. But you know what? My video editor does, you know.
mm.
So either you delegate it or you're okay with doing it. I don't know if that answered the question the way you were saying, Kedge, but because the other piece of the values bit for everyone listening is our voids also help create our values, meaning the traumas and shit that we went through in the past also lead to the opposite, which is what we care about instead. So with me, I went through, I perceived that I went through a lot of financial hardship when I was young. Hence, it made me really genuinely have a high value on finances and doing well financially. So like how much of that is conditioning? I can tell you this. In that scenario, I have a younger sister, so she was with me this whole time. She doesn't have a high value on finances, even though she experienced the same thing that I did. She experienced it, but the thing is, her perception chose to focus on other things. Her perception chose to focus on animals and nature and all that stuff. Well, whereas my perception chose to focus on the conditioning or the void of the pain of not having finances. So therefore, maybe it shows you at like a spiritual or deeper level, whether you want to call it at a karmic level, at a past life
Mm.
level, at a something level, me and my sister were in the same situation, but young Dim somehow got affected by the money part, but my sister didn't. She got affected by the animals part, and that's why she's a veterinarian and I'm an entrepreneur.
Mm,
So it's like
mm,
I think that so much is actually driven by love. Anyway, Kat, do you wanna correct me? Because I feel like I did go off on a tangent then.
mm. That was a good tangent. That's why I was listening, and then but there's one thing they said earlier that I wanted to come back to, but a great tangent. So always, um, the part yeah, so about figuring out so authentic self versus like something. So for me, like I'm going to use sales calls as the example because just using that same
Nice.
example, right? You said for
Yeah.
example, you don't. Some people like they figure out they don't want to they until they do it they don't really know and how they want to do it and whatnot. But
Yes.
then discerning by doing like thousands of hours of it, right? Which I think is the first and most important thing if that's what you choose, because discerning the difference. For example, you might have a fear of rejection, right? So is it, are you not enjoying it because there's a fear inside you that you need to work on, or is it because that's not authentically you? And I think that's the hard part for people to figure out along the way. And I think
What I
because I'm
find,
always,
just real
yeah,
quick on that
yeah,
one,
yeah,
before you go on, my bro, usually when people authentically enjoy something, they're more motivated to want to overcome the fear of rejection because
mm,
they're like, I actually really like this sales thing, but I
yeah,
have this fear of rejection, but like I don't want to have it. Whereas some other people, it's almost like when you really want something, you find a way. When
mm.
you don't really want it, you find an excuse. That little ad lib there, kid.
Yeah, and no, and I use that example because that's just like that's my story, right? Because like I for some reason I was very drawn to it, did it, but even for me, the first time I did your retreat, like my timeline therapy was on like working on some past rejection stuff. And so for me to get to that point of authentic self, even in a particular skill, is like discerning the difference between your conditioning and what you're scared of, and also what you really like. And but you need to keep doing, constantly reflecting and doing it to kind of get to that point. And I think a lot of people, and you'd help me with this part, but a lot of people would do it, say, for example, using sales calls, and they're like, oh, but I don't like asking for the sale. It feels pushy, it feels whatever. But and that's not me. That's not me. But it's like, is it you? But you just like there's a fear in there that that's why you don't do it. And I think discerning the difference is the maybe the hard part, unless you is that fair
Yeah.
to say?
It's really fair to say. And I
Yeah.
think the way to do it, my bro, is like um you can at a macro level check, is this job or already at a macro level aligned to this person's values?
Yeah.
Is it number one? Number two, it's like, is their personality a match for the nature of the job? So,
Yeah.
for example, if it's someone very extroverted, then they might not be the right fit for accounting, you know,
Mm,
or vice versa. If someone's very introverted, might not be the right fit for sales.
mm,
That would be like gate number two. And then gate number three is like, okay, like genuinely, they're a good fit for this and they do really love it,
yeah.
then it's like cool, like then let's explore, why do you feel like there's
Mm,
a block here?
mm,
This is like literally work that I do with people every day. It's like you just usually when someone starts to speak about why there's a block there, it surfaces up the limiting beliefs or the fears or the insecurities or whatever. And limiting beliefs for anyone listening is kind of like it's like a judgment or a belief that we have on something that's probably not true. It's just like our current stance or perspective on a matter. And so that's where the magic is, because if you can help someone collapse that limiting belief and actually find the truth or an empowering truth or a different way of looking at it, then it's like the fucking world opens up to them,
mm.
So yeah, Kedge, I guess there's no real like straight answer, is there? It
No,
takes
like
back
it's
and
not, and I
forth.
think if, yeah, if it was that easy, then we would all have it figured out.
Mm,
But I think, but yeah, and I think that's 'cause it's just interesting, right? Because it's like, yeah, just for me, yeah, like when I talk about authentic leadership, authentic selling styles and stuff, it's like, yeah, I just try. I find it sometimes difficult to because there's an element of years of experience that stems from there's an element of just doing it and figuring it out as well, and I think sometimes trying to translate because I feel like what I have done for myself. I don't know how to package that. I can give little bits and package that and then reshare it. But like, because I actually had a super, super interesting chat with like my business partner's young cousin, 18-year-old. This guy's gonna be someone magic one day, by the way. But he's at that age, he's 18 years old, and he's just like watching all this content about high ticket closes and well, he's in that world right now, right? And he's in that world and he's studying and he's learning sales skills and he's like working hard and working for some US company in the nighttime and studying in the daytime,
What a
whatever. Just
legend. Oh
yeah,
my
just doing
gosh.
doing the crazy shit, right?
What a legend.
And so someone like that, they're gonna make it, right? Just because of just how he is.
Yeah.
But he's asking me questions about like because at this point, like, and I was there when I was at that age, but it just does not give a, it doesn't care about the client, doesn't care about anything, just wants to sell and make money, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm sitting here on my high horse, after years of experience, talking about how you got to care for the customer, do something in alignment with what you want, but where he at the stage that he's at and thing, he just needs to go through it and just do it. And like he will learn. Like, that's the journey that I had to go on to get to where I am, right? So, and what I kind of told myself was like, just hearing it all, bro, just go do it. Go do the high ticket closer, go close some shit. And you probably will go through this journey, and at a certain point, you'll probably feel unfulfilled, and you come back and you figure out, and hopefully, what I'm saying today, like, it just stays in the back of his head somewhere, right? And
Yeah.
so as he's going through that, he's like, oh yeah, that's what that guy was talking about, and hopefully it accelerates that journey. But and I know he's going to be self-aware enough because he wants to learn and all the other things, and he'll go on an awesome journey. And I think it's like, yeah, and I think so. There's just there's a time component to it as well, you know.
Yeah, yeah, man. I amen to that, bro. Because like, that was a fallacy I feel like I detected pretty early on in the coaching world, which was like every single damn coach or whatever that I was listening to, mentor or whatever, they were all saying the same shit, which is I went through all of this shit and all this stuff, and I'm gonna teach you these 5 steps so you don't have to go through all of that pain.
Mm.
And I was like, hang on. And all of them had like a different 5 steps or whatever. And I'm like, well, man, the fucking common denominator in all of this shit is that they all went through hard times and they all had all this experience. That's the common denominator, actually. It's not the formula.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
the product. It's the common denominator is their experience. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So then I think that there's first principles and foundational things that are the timeless things.
Mm.
Things like knowing your purpose, like having a sense of purpose, and you can take that quite deep depending on who the individual is, and how much the individual wants to take it. But purpose is a foundational thing because it gives you a sense of direction. Another one is getting out of your own way or having a level of internal fluency to realize that it's not the world is happening to you, but it's the world is happening through you. There is an interaction between the world and you. And so part of it is external events, but the bigger part of it is how you interpret those external events. So having the level of self-awareness to understand that so much that regard like ultimately what's happening on the outside, it's a sum total of our conscious and subconscious decisions that come from our perceptions, decisions, and actions. Because basically, um, we're here because of our conscious and subconscious decisions and actions, which have led us here, And so these things are happening, but we've had some kind of role in creating it. So that kind of second thing to zoom back out is just not being a victim of the world and understanding how we are also creating that world.
Mm.
And then like number 3 is actually being in the field fucking doing it. And if there was a number 4, I would say it's being around the right type of people, because as humans we really really do well being around the right types of people. And so um like those would be like to me the first principles that no matter what, like anyone would agree with,
Mm.
and then all those different nuances of like, oh, do you do breath work, do you do this in your morning routine, do you do that? Man, they're different things at different times for different people, for different situations is what they are, so but bro, on that story that you said about the 18-year-old, that's like one way of doing it is to just like just be you, just be Kedge, right? Like that's one way,
Mhm.
which is beautiful, and long may it continue. And then the other way is like I feel like the approach that I take, not to say one's better than the other, they both should be there. The approach that I take is like similar to you, like just hey man, go do it, man, go hard, go do it. In fact, I usually encourage them to go hard,
Yeah.
because because then, it kind of accelerates a little bit the bumps,
Mm,
and then when you have those moments where someone does go through a bump, and then they're actually open to going, I want to understand why that bump happened. What can I do differently? That's when I have personally found the guidance uh actually hits home,
mm,
because then you can say, man, what do you think about this idea? And then sometimes it'll be like, no, no, that's not that's not what I think. And sometimes it'll be like, fuck, that really hits home. So just a
nah.
thought.
No, no, I find that to be so true. And I think it's something, once again, something I learned from you is like, because where I find the trade-off, and once again, I think after I say this, you may lean a little bit more in this direction, because something you said to me a while ago, and which I found true for myself, was you said some stuff that to other people in the group, and even to me, that we don't truly understand yet. Actually, even though like I actually don't, as you know what, that didn't really make sense to me at that time, and I can see for the group of boys didn't really make sense. At the same time, go hard and go do it. But then, as I was going through my journey, I did it. Oh, then it's like, bro, that's what that meant, you know? So,
Yeah.
and it's like, so that for me, that's me trying to apply that principle. So even though I'm like, whatever, you called kedging it or whatever, and I was like giving him my thing, but at the same time, go hard. It's like, cool, go hard. And when he hits that bump, oh, that's what that guy was talking about. And, that
Hey,
that's my version of that, you know. So
that's dope. Hey man, for all I know, that's exactly I mean, it sounds like that's actually what's been happening. I just didn't realize. That's
yeah.
cool, bro. Oh
Oh
man.
man,
I think
nice
we're
way
at
to
the hour.
yeah, and it's a nice way to end it. I think because yeah,
Yeah. All right. Well, for everyone listening, thank you again for joining us for another episode. Thank you sincerely for all the really sweet, positive feedback that we have actually received over these last couple of weeks. Thank you for sharing the love, and telling your friends. Kedge and I genuinely enjoying doing this. If you have any questions or anything that you would like Kedge and I to speak on, please feel free to either chuck it in the comments, or message us, because I think we'll be super happy to. So that's my outro. Kedge, do you want to say anything, man?
that's all, man. And just like once again, just echoing the sentiment of this whole thing is like that you guys and us and everyone else listening is living a rich life in every aspect, you know, financially, health, love, spiritually, and that's what this is about. So go live it, and we'll keep talking about it. So.
Love you guys. Thank you. Bye, everyone.